There we go. So my name is Chris Riedesel. I am an arts associate with the City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs. With me today is Mia Doi Todd, a 2020 COLA Fellowship recipient. Normally with our COLA Fellows, they take part in an exhibition at the LA Municipal Art Gallery or performance at the Grand Performances. The performance is not taking place before a live audience this year, so we've done video recordings. What this meant for our artists, including Mia Doi Todd, is that they did not get to do the introduction that they normally do before they start the performance at the live audience. So I wanted to give Mia an opportunity now to give us the introduction that she would have given to the live audience had she had a live audience. So go ahead, Mia.
Hello, my name is Mia Doi Todd. I've been writing songs and making albums for more than 20 years. This newest batch of songs will be released as an album called Music Life, which is also the name of one of the songs. I'd really like to thank the City of Los Angeles and the Department of Cultural Affairs for honoring me with a COLA Fellowship. It was a real validation of these years of songwriting. Some of my new songs are quite long, which is a return to some of my early work in which my songs were long and wordy, with no reference to popular song form. Over the years, I think I've developed more mastery of my voice and guitar and piano playing. People who already know my music will find these new songs to be clearly in my own style as it has developed over time. People who might be hearing me for the first time, I hope the music will speak to them. My music in general is quite introspective and emotional and feminine. It seems like it might be helpful in the current world situation. It offers some emotional depth and humanity.
All right, well, that is quite the overview. You performed for us for the recording as one of the few audience members there, and you performed 7 new songs. Were all of these the songs that will be on Music Life, or do you have additional songs?
There are a couple more that I didn't perform that are on the album.
Okay,
yes.
So our audience
that was the core of it. Yeah.
Our audience will get to see the initial 7 songs, and we'll have more to look forward to then. Excellent.
Yeah.
When we spoke at the very beginning of this process, when you were notified that you were a COLA recipient, you had described to me that your project the theme would be balancing a music life with the family life. So I wanted to ask, why is that theme important to you now at this stage in your career?
Okay. My work is all very autobiographical and personal, whereas my earlier albums dealt a lot with romance and heartache. These new songs are reflective of the life I've been living more recently, which is all about motherhood and family and responsibility. The birth of my daughter had a huge impact on me. It expanded my capacity for love and caring and patience. It also brought to the surface many experiences from my own childhood that appear in these new songs. Now that I'm raising a daughter of my own, I think about things very differently. My perspective and focus have changed, so it's only natural that that should be reflected in my work, which is so personal. One theme of the album is the dialectic between the wife and mother on one side and the artist on the other, and how to balance these often opposing tendencies. If you look back through history, you will find very little mention of female artists, as with most professions. Women are often in the supporting role, keeping the family fed and well cared for, while the men go off to do the big important work. That started to change in the 20th century, but we're still a long way off from equality. In the meantime, there's plenty to do every day just to push on through and hope for the next generation. I've written some of this into my song, Daughter of Hope.
All right. Now, would you say some of this would be for your daughter as she gets older and starts finding her way in the world, or?
Yes, particularly that song I wrote as a message to her in the future. There's a line, I want you to know me and I want to know you. So some of these songs, I feel like they're too adult for her at this point, but in the future, she'll have a chance to know me better through my work, I think.
Well, I think that I'm hoping she'll appreciate that very much. I think it's a great thing to do for your daughter.
She often, when she was a baby, she felt very competitive with the guitar. She didn't like me holding it. and playing with it. It was definitely her opponent. So we had I started playing piano. So there's a lot more piano on this new album because that was less competitive.
Does she try to play with the instruments at all, or sort of get your attention by plucking the strings or pounding on the keys, or?
Oh yeah, back then she tried to stop me in all those ways, but now she's starting to play more and learn more music on her own.
Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So a child growing, learning to express herself.
Yes.
Let's see here. How did receiving a COLA fellowship affect your work? Did it give you more freedom than you've had before, or just tell me about it a little bit?
Receiving the COLA fellowship gave me both financial and emotional support to finish my new album. As an artist, one is often working in a vacuum with self-determined goals and deadlines. Having done this for quite a while now, I expect a certain amount of professionalism from myself, but it was helpful to work with the city on a concrete schedule of duties to perform. And receiving the fellowship certainly gave me a sense of pride in my work, that it should be taken seriously. Um, the financial help from the grant was very welcome, as was the general validation. It enabled me to devote more time to my work.
Well, it's nice to hear that the structure that we provide, which tends to come out of bureaucratic deadlines, also coincides with structural needs for artists as well. So.
Yes, I think that was helpful to meet those professional standards and to encounter all of you who are working on another side of cultural affairs. We're on the performative, I'm on the performative side, but to interact with different people and learn how to be more professional, that's very helpful, I think. Especially now that I'm more of a mid-career artist, starting to deal more with cultural institutions rather than rock clubs. So
a little more involved with the community than being a righteous individual, I suppose, or
there's room for both, I suppose. Yeah.
COVID-19 is impacting everything for everybody.
Yeah.
As I stated earlier, this was supposed to be a live performance, but we ended up doing a recorded performance. Did it impact your work in any other way? Did it affect your writing, or was a lot of this writing done prior to the shelter at home?
Yes, all of this writing was finished before the shelter at home, but because we were at home so much, I definitely had more time to focus on rehearsing, and um, I've been enjoying the quiet atmosphere in the neighborhood and listening to the birds singing, and so the live performance was canceled and grand performances arranged for us to do the live filming. This is actually more useful to me career-wise because more people will be able to see the performance online than would have been able to attend the live performance. And now that live performances are on hiatus, this filming of my songs might be the only way to see me perform for quite a while. So I'm very grateful for the team that we made this happen. And it was kind of stressful performing in the coronavirus environment with everyone wearing masks and worrying about infection. And the world has changed so much. So one thing, the studio where we filmed the performance was equipped with video projection, and my original grant proposal had no visual element. It was all about the music. But because we were making the recorded presentation, I was called on to design the visual aspect of the show. So I filmed some nature footage that we used as video backdrops, and I actually did my first bit of video editing. I put together a video using the public domain footage of the Japanese American internment camps that we used for my song, Take What You Can Carry. There was a very quick deadline, so I just had to set right to it and deliver the video. So thanks to COVID-19, I finally got into the video editing software, Final Cut Pro, which I've been meaning to do for years. So that was one benefit. And as I said, staying home a lot, I had a lot of chance to rehearse my new material and get ready for the filming. It was helpful to have that kind of focus, and also something to look forward to, because it's kind of it's this kind of scary time. So it helped me to get through this unusual circumstances having this concrete performance that I was gearing up towards. And whereas a live performance is ephemeral, a recording is set down for posterity, mistakes and all. So I really tried to do my best for our filming day. I took it more seriously than a live show. And it was more like recording for an album. Originally, I was planning to perform as a trio, but the solo performance was more achievable in the context of the pandemic. So there's no band to hide behind. It's just me and my songs.
I would like to point out one interesting video piece that you selected, and one of the images was, I believe, of your grandparents.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. So I wrote a song, Take What You Can Carry.
Yes.
I wrote the song, Take What You Can Carry. It's actually a historical song. My mother's family was all interned during World War II in the Japanese American internment camps. And the camps are relevant today because there's still prejudice and racial profiling, detention centers. Those things still exist in our country, you know. So the Japanese internment camps are relevant today, and my family experienced it firsthand. Both my grandparents were born in California, and they were citizens, but they were rounded up with over 100,000 other Japanese Americans and sent to camp, and they were ordered to take only what they could carry. So I wrote this song, and there's a photograph that I discovered. I went on a pilgrimage to Tule Lake Internment Center, where my grandparents and my mom were all interned, and we went to a slideshow at the it was in the middle school hall, like a assembly hall of the local middle school, and they were going through photos that the government took of the Japanese Americans, and I said, Mom, that's grandma. So there's a very archetypal photo of people waiting in line to be fingerprinted, and their only crime was being Japanese. You know, it was totally racially driven. So so we had that photograph projected behind me of my grandparents and my Uncle Art being held, waiting in line to be fingerprinted. And then the US government took a footage of Japanese Americans in camps as kind of sort of an advertisement about the justice they were doing, and, you know, how they were doing good by these Japanese Americans, protecting them, you know. So all of that is public domain footage, and I've been wanting to do something with it for a long time, but I actually got to it, and I, you know, edited the clips together to correspond to the kind of the arc of my song. And the song actually, it starts off definitely about the internment camps, but it becomes somewhat biblical. My grandmother, she went into camp with my mother as an infant who was only 3 months old, and my uncle who was a year or so old. So she had 2 kids going in. By the time she got out, she had 4 kids and was pregnant again. So it was quite an experience for her. And she was such a lovely lady, and is just the inspiration to me. She never let it get her down, you know, nothing ever got her down. So so there's a character, Sister Mary, in the second verse of the song, who is very much like my grandmother. And then in the third verse of the song, I put the lens onto current events, and it becomes about how the current environmental crisis will lead to further immigration, you know, and more trouble in the future. And these things, take what you can carry. This will come up over and over again, not just for the Japanese Americans. It could happen to anyone with situations that arise. And then COVID-19 happened, and I found myself going through the grocery store, like taking what I could carry to try to, you know, to take care of my own family. So it happens on all levels. And friends of mine who lost their homes in the Malibu fires, they lost everything, you know, and they were running out of the house only with their laptop and their tennis shoes, you know. So anything can happen.
Anything can happen, yeah.
And it did.
And it did. So
I feel like we're in a Woody Allen movie.
Yeah. So once again, before we sign off, can you remind our viewers what the title of the new collection will be?
Oh, yes. So my new album is called Music Life, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm Mia Doi Todd.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mia, and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Chris.